Obviously, I want to thank Mrs. Benson, number one, for her support, her love. She showed up every day. It's an honor to work for her and be a part of her organization. To Joe and Troy, they thankful for their partnership, their belief, their trust. Really thankful for them. To the players who brought it every single day, thankful for their commitment, their joy, their energy, their work, their spirits. They made me better this year. So they pushed me, and really thankful for these players. And more than anything, the city, the community that embraced me, embraces this team. My love of the fans only grew this year, watching them show up every single day to be a part of the Smoothie King experience. I don't take that for granted. So I feel connected to the city, the franchise, and who these people are. So I'm really thankful to the fans in the city. Obviously, not what the city was looking for in the fans, but brighter days are ahead. And but I'm just very grateful for everybody that showed up this year. So if you have any questions, we'll jump in, Maddie.
Hey, JB, have you had any conversations with Joe yet, just about the process of, hiring a new coach and where you stand and all that?
Joe's done an amazing job just allowing me to coach his team, number one. So we've just been focused on the day, the task, the season. We didn't get into the weeds of what's next, what's coming. We have had an initial conversation more in reflection of the season. Just looking back at what did we do well, what are some areas of improvement. Those conversations have started. Okay, so that's been our initial. Where it goes from there, we'll see. But our initial conversation was more reflective on the season.
We'll talk to him tomorrow, but can you give us an idea of some of the things he did like and didn't like about this season?
Well, I'll let Joe speak for himself. I don't want to speak on Joe's behalf. I'll share my beliefs, if that's what you're looking for, Look, I think the areas of growth overall, the things I'm most proud of in the season are the commitment that I saw to competing every night, that we built a culture of competitiveness, of availability. From December 1st to last night, we were the 8th most healthy team, that we showed up, we were available. That has been an issue here in the past, that I'm proud of that. We turned a little bit of that is fortune. You got to have some luck there along the way, but we are available. So we showed up every day, we competed. We had an amazing spirit in our gym every single day. There was a commitment to development. These players cared about each other, loved one another, and competed, never dropping the sword. Never dropped the sword. I'm most proud of that. The individual growth, we could go across the roster, but we had significant growth throughout the roster. We played our 2 rookies really as much as anybody, 4th in minutes, 5th in minutes, saw their path move in the right direction. I think in general, since I took over, we were the 2nd most improved team in the NBA net rating-wise, 1st most improved team in offense, 5th most improved team in defense. We saw significant growth on both ends, and we still have a long ways to go. The areas of growth for this team are on the defensive end, clearly. That my message right now is going to be on the defensive end. Our physicality, our toughness, our aggression defensively has to turn. And that starts here in the offseason. Getting bigger, stronger, more physical. The weight room is going to be massive for this team moving forward. We have to get bigger and stronger, and that's on us. And that's controllable. That's controllable, that we can go do this summer. We got 5 months between now and the start of camp or the next, preseason game. We can make some massive gains there. But in general, the biggest thing I saw that I'm most proud of with this group is they had a spirit that was connected, an energy that said, we're not going to drop the sword. We're going to compete every night. We played the 4th most clutch games in the NBA. That's real. We played the 4th most clutch games. We were 10-24. That's the area of growth. When you look at another area of growth, it's how do we do better in the clutch? And again, that starts in the offseason. And that's an area that I'm going to dive into, here in the immediate future is how do we get better in the clutch? And then holding on to leads is another thing as well. I would boil those two down to a mental toughness. There's got to be a mental component to all this come fourth quarter time. But what I'll say is we kept putting ourselves in position. We kept knocking on the door. We kept pounding the rock. You guys know I kept saying that all year, even through those tough stretches. Keep pounding the rock. When I took over, we were 2-10. Before I could blink, we were 2-15. That's where I got started with this group. But we just kept chipping away at it, kept believing. We kept our energy high. We kept our spirits high. And for that, I'm grateful that these men never dropped the sword. So there's a lot more there, but we'll keep it there for now.
I know you being in the building, the interview process may be a little bit different, but when anyone is interviewing for a job, obviously they're trying to sell themselves on a thing, and then maybe vice versa. Do you feel like the connectivity of this team, even when you were out of it or very far away from the play-in, is one of the biggest selling points for you, that this team was still so connected even if the season was lost?
It is the number one selling point. If you don't have connection, you have nothing. It starts with connection and culture and belief. If you want to turn a program in this league, it starts with connection. Do you believe in each other? Do you trust one another? And are you connected? That's where the foundation starts. We'll figure out the details. That's going to come. But we have an immediate foundation right now going into the offseason of a culture that believes in each other, trusts one another, is connected. And we're going to build on that momentum moving forward.
And you mentioned playing your rookies the most minutes, and obviously Fears and Queen showed so many positives. Can you speak to just their trajectory and kind of what you see for them heading into this first off season?
Well, I know it's upward, significantly moved upward, and I think we made the switch with Fears January 23rd. And the game that sticks out to me was at Milwaukee. I feel like he flipped the switch. There was something internally in him. And obviously he and I were having conversations, players, I'm sure he had conversation with Joe throughout that time as well. And for, whatever reason, it clicked for him and his path turned, his season turned, and our season turned. Our future is much brighter because that kid responded in a very positive light. So, and I think over the last 2-3 weeks, you've seen a player playing at an elite level. And now his goal and his job is to build on that in the summer. He's down there shooting right now. You can't get this guy out of the gym. His work ethic is elite. He's going to get better. He and I will sit down and formulate a plan for him in the summertime. My immediate focus right now is what would the summer look like for each player? Right? Reflective of the season, looking forward ahead, but right now I'm focused on what is the player development plan for each player, and he's going to be a massive part of that. So, and I think Queen made massive strides. We saw his talent on display last night. He's such a super talented kid, high IQ, can make plays that very few bigs can make. So, but we got work to do. And Micah Peavy as well. All three rookies showed us they belong in this league. Now it's about the work. And a lot of it, again, as I said earlier, is going to start in the weight room. Can we get physically stronger and get our bodies to a place where we can compete at the highest level every single night?
About maybe threading that needle, what would your vision be? You have veteran players who seemingly are in their prime, Dejounte,
Sure.
Trey, and Zion. And you mentioned the young players, but marrying those things isn't always easy. I know you did a good job of getting those guys minutes. Do you have to kind of pick a path and stick to it, or is it possible to have a winning unit?
Well, yeah, one of my greatest challenges this year was playing the rookies, because that was significant for the growth of our program, winning games, keeping the group connected, finding an identity. That was, I could spend all day here, talking us through what that looked like on the season. That was my greatest challenge, is finding the group to move the needle as far as winning games, but development was also at the forefront of what we're trying to do here as well. And you can do both. It's challenging, but you can do both. You know, and no matter what, whether they're rookies or not, you're always in development mode. I don't think it's just a rookie thing. Development's, every guy in this roster's got to get better. That's our internal development. So we're always looking forward to how to get better internally. The rookies are a big part of that, you know. But the goal here is about winning, period. You know, when Joe stepped in and took over this franchise, it's the number one goal here has been about winning, and that's the goal here. I've had to make some tough calls along the way this season, but this group has the makings of that, absolutely. And I think the area I'm going to look at and study the most is the period from January 23rd through March 19th, somewhere in that range. It was a 25-game sample where we went 15-10. When we were fully healthy, I think we were 12th in offense, 14th in defense. We were 15-10. We were playing and operating like a top 6 team in the West. That's the goal. That's the vision. Do I think it's possible next season? Absolutely. Now I got to bottle that up. I got to look at that stretch and say, what did we do well? How can we get better? And now move the group forward. But we all have work to do, including myself. How do we get better? How do we develop? And I think that starts now, that putting a plan in place for every guy to get better this offseason between now and the start of camp.
Along those same lines, you mentioned the need to get better on defense. Obviously, rebounding would be part of that. But what do you see as the foundation of this group that y'all can lean into as you go into the offseason?
Well, I'll continue to lean into the defense because the franchises that we're going to watch over the next couple of weeks have made the massive turns through their defense. I've said that multiple times, that those teams are doing it through the defensive lens. The strength of this team right now as it stands, where we moved the needle the most was on the offensive end. We improved this offense by 8 points per game since I took over. There was significant growth on that end of the floor. We're the most improved offensive team. And there's another level to get to offensively for sure. Where this team and this program becomes a winning program and franchise, it's going to be done through the defensive lens. That's where I'm going to put my hat and my mark all summer, is leaning into the defense. That starts with our physicality. One-on-one defense, physical on the ball, physical in the paint, rim protection. I think we moved the needle on the rim protection as the season went. I think Yves, Carlo, Queen, we saw some high-level rim protection going on, and that moved the needle for us defensively. The biggest thing that we all have to own and embrace is the rebounding, that we have to move the needle on both ends of the floor. That's going to be the biggest area of focus for me, you know, moving into the offseason. If we can just handle the defensive rebounding, we would have moved much closer to a top 10 defense. On the offensive end, I think there's low-hanging fruit on doubling down on crashing on the offensive rebounding. That's an area of growth for us, winning the possession game on the board. So, but without a doubt, it's going to be through the defensive lens for me.
I want to talk a little bit about, like, you talked about the culture, connectivity of this team. Can you speak a little bit about, like, the bench mob, like we saw, like, with the death row games and stuff with DeAndre and Kavan and Jordan, everyone staying healthy? Like, what does that say about the culture of this team? Like, that those guys were able to come together, and even if they weren't getting minutes, they were still staying active and building the team together as a whole.
Well, they showed up every day. They cared about each other. They were connected. They valued one another. There was respect there. Whether they were playing or not, they showed up every day. And that's half the battle in this league, or more than half the battle in this league, is just showing up every day and doing your job. And every one of those guys stayed ready, stayed a part of it. When their number was called, they were available and they were ready to go. DeAndre came out of nowhere and stepped up and helped us win a number of games. Poole stepped up every single time that we called on him. Looney did the same thing. But all that was done because of the work they were doing here on the floor. This was not a dead gym. I wish everybody had the experience that I had, to experience this year of what this felt like every day, and just to come in here and enjoy one another and get better and push one another. It's a credit to those players, and to the staff as well. I think I'm very thankful for the staff that they stayed committed to this as well.
And you talked a little bit about that January to March, but more specifically when Dejounte came back and the team did have everybody healthy. It wasn't a huge sample size, but what were like the most promising signs and changes you saw whenever everybody was there?
In that period, we were 8-4 with Dejounte, 9th in offense, 10th in defense. That was significant for us. He gave us a jolt. I don't think that can go unnoticed, that for him to come back from such a significant injury speaks volumes about this team and this franchise. He didn't have to do that. You know, it's not like we were in the playoff. I guess we were in the play-in hunt at that time, but he wanted to come back and be a part of this. That speaks volumes to me, that he cares about this team. He believes in this team. He saw us making a push, and he wanted to be a part of it. So I thought he had a massive part on us, you know, in that stretch of time. But he deserves the credit. He put a ton of work in, and obviously his work will continue here in the offseason.
You back here. You mentioned that, you know, you and Joe haven't talked too much about, you know, big picture. You've reflected on the season a little bit, but based on your comments, it sounds like you obviously, you know, you want to be back here as the head coach. And if that's true, what do you think is kind of why is that? Like, why do you think like you're the right guy to be like the permanent full-time head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans?
It's an honor to be the head coach of the Pelicans. It's an honor. I'm one of 30 in the NBA, and I have great pride in that. And it's an honor to coach these guys, to be a part of this franchise, to lead them, to show up every day, to be a partner with Joe, to be a partner with these players. I belong. I love this city. I love this community, this franchise. I love these players. And, you know, now it's about building into the future. Obviously, that's going to come over conversations, but I see a clear path. I love these players. I believe in them. As I say to them, I believe in them more than they believe in themselves. And now it's just about putting the work in. But more than anything, I feel connected to this franchise, to this community, and to the city. And it's an honor to sit here as their head coach. So I look forward to more conversations and digging through that. I won't speak for Joe, but it's been an honor to be a part of this.
You mentioned the improvements you made during the season. How hard is it to do that, you know, to take over in the middle of the record that you had, to make those kind of improvements? And is there a sense of, like, what if you had a whole offseason with this group at the beginning of the year? What if you were there right at the start of the year?
It's a great question. I mean, you know, so much of your foundation and identity starts right now. You know, this offseason, these 5 months is where you're really putting your stamp on the season. The wins you're stacking, your identity is formed in the offseason. We know that. And, you know, right now in front of me is 5 months. Obviously, I didn't have that last year, and I'm not going to go back there and say what if, what could have been. I did the most with what I was given in that time period. And as I said earlier, that's what I'm most proud of. In the heat of battle, you know, when we're playing game after game, very limited practice time, without an offseason, we move the needle significantly. So I'm most proud of that. With an offseason, you're going to make strides. You better make strides, or you're not doing something right, you know. But to me, this is where the work starts. You know, the summertime, where do we get better? Being honest with what we do well, where we can get better as a team and individually, and then, you know, we're putting that identity, those habits in place starting right now through October into the start of the season. And to me, that's really where you form your identity, is now in the summertime, you know, and make the most strides. So that's what I look forward to the most.
It's November 16th. You're called into Joe's office. You're told, you know, you're being given a chance to be the interim head coach. What were the expectations laid out in front of you in that moment? And do you feel like you kind of met them as the season went on, or did they change as the season went on?
The message was clear from Joe: is get these guys to compete every single night and never drop the sword. Like, compete every single night and bring it. And that's what we did. We nailed that. You know, that every day we showed up, we brought our best, we leaned into one another, and we competed at the highest level. Like, we just, every single night we brought it, and we competed. And not only in game, but what I saw in practice, there was a spirit of competitiveness, joy, energy on this floor every single day. There was a commitment to development. Obviously, the rookies were a big part of that. You know, we needed to see the rookies play significant minutes and see what we had there, and we did both. You know, but I'm most proud, as I keep saying, I'm most proud of the culture of competitiveness and connection that we developed over the season.
And when you look at, you know, all the organizations that win at a high level, it seems like there's a ton of alignment all across, everyone pulling on the same rope in the same direction. Do you feel like that was taking place this year here, and do you feel supported by the organization?
I do. I mean, Joe was a partner for me. I look forward to partnering with him. That's what excites me about this job, is the partnership with Joe Dumars and this front office and Mrs. Benson. Like, that, to me, those are pillars of a winning organization and franchise. And, you know, that's how I see it. I felt like a partner with them. Do we need to have more conversations, and will we have more conversations? Yes, that's to come. What I respect is Joe allowed me to do my job. And it was an honor to coach these guys, as I keep saying. This is probably one of the toughest jobs in the league, if not the toughest job. You wear 3 hats, and you got to nail all 3. You got to be a tactician, you got to be a manager of people, individuals, staff, players, and you got to be a leader. You got to be a hell of a leader. And those are the 3 areas I'm going to focus on. I'm most proud of this year, that we were at the forefront of all 3 of those. This group was motivated every night to play, never dropped the sword. Tactically, we got better. Do we need to get better tactically? Yeah, we're going to start that now in the offseason. We have to get better. But we moved the needle significantly on the tactical piece, motivationally, and then the leadership piece. This team doesn't stay connected if there's no leadership. This team falls apart halfway through the season without leadership. This team built momentum into March, late into the season, when they could have easily given in. And that's, to me, leadership. And those are all 3 phases that I don't take for granted. It's an extremely grueling job, but I appreciate what Joe, the path he gave me, the runway he gave me to go do this year. And I look forward to partnering with him.
I mean this in a respectful way, but I feel like I have to ask it. You have highlighted the competitiveness every night in never dropping the sword, and you also highlighted the health that this team had, but the end result was still 26 wins. While I don't expect you to name names on the roster, does that say we just need more time together, or does that say we really do need to sit down?
It's just a couple things. We're not that far away.
Okay.
It says a couple things. We're not that far away. We need some time, you know, and that's going to come, you know, over a period of time. We need an off season together. We were thrown into the fire, you know, and we made significant strides, in my opinion. You know, it's clear that we made significant strides. More time, you develop more of an identity. You develop more trust. You develop more of your culture. Culture's not built overnight. The best franchise in this league have done this for years. You know, San Antonio did it over years. It's time. OKC did it over years. But there was alignment. There was connection. There was belief. There was trust. And you need time to do that. So that's the biggest piece. But there's evidence as well that says we're not that far away. The net rating, the stretch of games when we were healthy, says to me this is a competitive winning program. Now, how do we bottle that up and move it forward with an offseason, with 5 months in front of us, with a full partnership between Joe and I to move this thing forward? Where can this go? None of us in this room know. I know that it's upward, though. I do know that. And there's clear evidence that we saw throughout the year where this thing is starting to move in the right direction. And I recognize that it's not the result we wanted. But there can also be, we're not that far away. And that's what I have in my core. That's what excites me about this group going into the offseason, that some tweaks along the way, a clear identity on the defensive end. Who knows where we could be sitting a year from now if we go put that work in. So hopefully that answers your question.
Coach, we talked about, you talked about the improvement since you, of course, took over, but where have you grown, maybe personally, professionally, since your first stint in this position, especially under the circumstances when you took over?
Well, I'll go back to those three phases. You know, to be good in the seat, you know, and the goal for me is to be the head coach of a franchise, period. That is the goal. You know, I've been fortunate to have, 6 years now, roughly, in this seat, you know. 2 as an interim, 4 as a head coach in Charlotte. And every year you're growing, you're trying to get better. But I'll look back to those 3 areas. I grew as a leader, you know. Having tough conversations is probably the biggest area of growth from my time in Charlotte. That I bear the wounds of all the battles I avoided is something I carry with me every day. I bear the wounds of all the battles I avoided. It's a great Portuguese quote. That as a leader, I don't avoid confrontation. I don't avoid, tough decisions. You can, all of us in this room know the amount of tough decisions I had to make this year, and I made them. Some guys went in and out of the lineup. Some, starters coming off the bench, rotational issues, who I closed with, who I started with. And that's probably the area of growth that I've, from my time in Charlotte, have made the most significant strides in. But my leadership, tactically only getting better. I think that's the area I'm always looking to improve on. Tactically, how do I get better? And then, probably the most challenging in this area is just managing egos, people, players, staff. And more than ever, the NBA has expanded. There's more players now than ever. There's more staff members than ever. There's more to manage. There's many hats that you have to wear in this position. But it all goes back to leadership. At the end of the day, the people that do this job best are the best leaders. And I think that's the area I've grown the most in.
Hey, Coach, the rebounding you said was obviously one of the main things you wanted to work on. It's been a problem here for a few years now. How do you get an NBA team to put that effort out every night and get those rebounds specifically in that department?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we have to go move the needle here. That we have to demand it. We have to pursue it. It has to become a part of our culture every single day. It's a rebounding habit. Teams have done this. It's not easy to do. Most times the easiest way to move the needle on the rebounding is just to go get a rebounder, And when Valanciunas left this building, a lot of our rebounding left too, But now the challenge is, okay, how do we go do this now? And it's just an emphasis every single day, habit work every single day, in training camp, in the summer, a demand on it. If you don't rebound, you don't play. There's got to be an accountability on this as well. And then obviously, especially the big guys, there's a number of guys that have to take significant strides in that area. But I saw Carlo, I saw Yves make strides in that area. Queen's obviously a rebounder. So the roster's going to have to help us as well, but it's going to have to become a part of our DNA.
I just want to go back to the people management aspect of things. Your staff, by and large, it seems like they're on the final years of their deal. How do you work with them in this level of hey, we don't know where our job might be, if it's here, if it's elsewhere. The season is what it is. What's your relationship with them, and how do you get them to, I guess, stay professional and keep contributing? And
It was a massive part of the season that's real, which you just asked. But the number one thing is we show up and we do our job every day, motivating people. This is our job. It's an honor to be in this league. It's an honor to coach. Don't take 1 year for granted. And there's always somebody watching. People are always watching. You never know when your next opportunity is going to be. There's people watching us right now. There's people watching us every game, how we present ourselves in game, in pregame workouts, in practice. You don't know where the next GM is going to come from. You don't know what a player is going to say to the next executive that's going to interview you. People are always watching. Carry yourself as such. And then, we have a job to do. Let's go execute it. And it was my job to motivate the group every day, to bring a joy and an energy. There was a standard that we had to bring, and it started with me. That my joy, my energy, my passion, my fire had to be on display every single day. And to the staff's credit, performance staff and coaching staff, they brought it. They followed suit. They didn't drop the sword. They were the energy. Even when I was down, they were lifting me up. It was a collective effort of moving this thing forward and doing it through passion and love of the game and caring about this franchise, caring about these players. The thing that my number one thing when I took over this program was, number one, to serve the players and serve the staff. I simply looked at it through that lens. I had no ulterior motive or objective in taking this job and accepted this job when Joe asked me. It was to serve. And I think that's what we did. We served the players, we served the staff, and that was my job as the leader, is to serve the entire program.
I know you mentioned the honor to be the head coach during this period, and I know you were an assistant here previously, but I'm curious, from being the interim for 60-plus games, was there something else that maybe you learned about this community, and maybe what stands out the most to you through both of the times that you've lived here now in New Orleans?
Well, I came back here because of my experience in my first 2 years. Obviously, I'm in San Antonio. Nobody on the bench would move, so I couldn't move up. I'm a young assistant in San Antonio, and, nobody would leave. Everybody loved winning championships, I guess. They loved, coaching Tim Duncan and Ginobili and Parker and being a part of Pop's staff. So nobody wanted to leave, so it left me behind the bench, and I was, had aspirations to get on the bench. And Monty Williams calls me and says, I have a job on the front of the bench for you. And so my initial time coming to New Orleans was really based off of that opportunity, right? It was simply about getting to the bench with Monty Williams. Here I go, right? Chris Paul was here. That was exciting. But my family and I, we loved it here. One of my youngest was born here. I initially felt very connected. I was only here for 2 years, but I felt a connection to the city. Then you fast forward, I don't know, what was that, 13 years later? This city and this community resonated with me. When I took a year off after Charlotte, I had probably 5 to 6 offers of associate head coaching offers when I was coming out of my time in Charlotte. And some significant offers with significant coaches, and I chose this city. I chose this city. I felt connected. I felt like I belong here. There's a resiliency about this city. There's a toughness about this city. There's a passion about this city that I love, that I connected to. My story, if you look at my story overall, of life, if I could boil it down to one thing, it's resiliency. That just kept getting knocked down. Things don't go your way. You hear no's. You just keep fighting, scrapping. It comes from my mother. It's really my mother, that I watched her story. I watched her grind and never give in, never doubt. She just showed up every day as a single parent with resiliency. So that value was always carried with me. As I reflect on my time in New Orleans, that's why I feel connected to the city. It's a city of passion and resiliency. And that's all, I'll remember. If I could go back and do it again, I'd do it again. I would choose New Orleans. And it's a very special place. It's an honor to lead this group and be a part of this community.
And feel free in the future to share more Portuguese expressions. But
do you remember it?
Yeah, I bear the wounds of the battles I avoided, right? That's what you said, the first one? Yeah.
Bear the wounds of all the battles I avoided.
Yeah.
So don't avoid them.
Right.
Have some tough conversations, right?
Yeah.
You're going to pay for it at some point. It's going to catch up to you at some point. So don't do that. If you have another Portuguese one. I don't have another Portuguese one, but I have some more for you.
Well, just one thing I wanted, maybe you could add some nuance to this whole concept that I think a lot of professional sports franchise struggle with. And that is the idea that, or the notion that, when teams don't make major changes after a non-winning season, it can reek of complacency, and they worry about that in terms of the business side, right, and not alienating fans. Can you add some maybe I just want to give you an opportunity to add some nuance to that notion, in light of the position you're in.
Well, I think if I'm understanding your question, through sports history, I think we can all look at teams that maybe overreacted and underreacted. It's not an exact science. Just because you win X amount of games doesn't mean you should go make changes or you shouldn't. This is where you have to trust internally your conversations and what you have here on the floor, in your locker room, and your leadership, and make adjustments accordingly. That's not my job. My job is to sit here in front of you and coach the team in front of me. There is no complacency here. The goal is to win, and win at the highest level. The goal here is to go chase championships. That is the goal. And there's always reflection on that. We all have to look at ourselves in the mirror and go, where can we get better and how do we do this? And sometimes with that comes change, just like anything. Even when you win a title, I've been a part of 2 NBA titles, and in those moments, what I learned out of that franchise that was winning NBA championships and playing at the highest level, they were constantly asking themselves, how do we get better? That's the curiosity you have to have. That's the spirit you have to have. And I believe we have that spirit. Joe and I partner in that. How do we get better? It's the curiosity and then the execution of that. But it's having that dialogue and going through that process initially that takes you there. And not shying away from tough conversations. It goes back to the conversations. And it's me looking in the mirror and going, how do I get better? And having some tough conversation with players, here's how you get better. But internally, how do we move this thing forward? So I think you can overcorrect, undercorrect. The bottom line is that this is a motivated group to get better. I clearly believe that. And, I look forward to those conversations, and this is the growth. This is where the magic happens, is in the growth right here. Good. Thanks, everybody.
Oh no, they gave this away. This is free.
Hey, Herb, when you just kind of look back on this season, like, how will you assess your performance, and what do you want to see going forward?
I mean, I think any season, it's a blessing. Any season to make it to the end of a season healthy. I think at the end of the day, it's a successful season. But I feel like I played okay. I think I could have did some things offensively better and defensively, but I do think I went out and gave the best effort that I could every night.
With some of the smaller lineups you played, what did you feel like y'all were able to figure out with those units and were able to do to find success with those groups?
Well, I think it took some time to get the chemistry with the smaller lineups. But late game, most times that was the group that was going to be out, on the court, and we just continued to try to find ways to win.
Hey, Herb, how do you kind of approach this offseason with the uncertainty of the coach position, and also do you feel like Borrego did enough to earn his job?
I let the front office, do their jobs when it comes to that. I'm going into the offseason. I kind of get selfish, going to the offseason. I kind of just try to zone everything out and continue to work on my game.
Herb, the record in win-loss records in clutch games is something that's been talked about a lot. What do you think kept this team from being able to come through in the clutch?
I think this year for us it was rebounding. I think we played good enough defense time and time again, and we just, couldn't come up with rebounds at certain points in the game, and I think that cost us a lot of them.
Coach Borrego mentioned that stretch between like January and March where y'all like 15 and 10, and Dejounte comes back and he was 8 and 4. Does those stretches give you encouragement that like the right people are in the building to turn this thing around?
For sure. And with Dejounte coming back, when he did, it was almost, I wouldn't say it was a huge adjustment, but, you do have to adjust with somebody of his caliber, coming back and playing. So, I mean, it definitely gives us encouragement, but, like with all things that are great things, it just takes time.
And obviously throughout the season, but especially toward the end, like Jeremiah really caught fire. How impressed were you with his improvement, and how do you see his trajectory?
I think the sky's the limit. As he continues to work hard, and he's a very hard worker. A lot of things doesn't surprise me because I see him working every day, so to say I'm surprised, I'd be lying.
You mentioned the defensive rebounding issues the team had. How much does that take a toll on you over the course of a game when you're having to defend extra possessions like that?
I mean, it's tough, but it's a part of the game. It's kind of a thing where it is what it is, and just continue to try to make the best play.
Hey, Herb, a bit of a different question, but, I just wanted to ask, how was this season like for you with the fan interaction over social media in terms of gambling? Like, were fans, like, DMing you more, messaging you more about gambling and stuff like that as compared to seasons past?
I mean, I don't really let the social media bother me at all. So I don't know about the gambling messages. I mean, I feel like it's kind of been the same since I've been in the NBA. Yeah, that's probably all I got for you. I'm not really bothered by what people are saying about my over under. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, have a good one.
And what you were able to do this year?
Oh, I got some candy in my mouth. Hold on. Yeah, I feel like my rookie season was pretty good. Has it up and down, just still learning and stuff. But yeah, been pretty good.
What's the main goal for you to improve in going into the offseason?
My mindset and my body.
What was last night like for you with all the rebounds and one of those rare 30-20 games?
We was limited, so like somebody had to go out there and do it.
When you look back at the games and the lack of wins in clutch times and clutch games, Herb said it was rebounding. Coach Borrego said it was rebounding. What do you think was the reason that you didn't get enough clutch wins this season?
I don't even know. I don't know.
You obviously you missed all of training camp, and you were still able to play 81 games this year. Maybe how proud were you of that? And what did you learn from like playing an 81 game season versus like maybe some of the other levels of basketball that you've been a part of?
I mean, I'm definitely proud of that. That was my first ever game that I missed. So I'm not proud about that. I just missed my first game, in my rookie season. But yeah, I just learned more about the NBA, like what it really means to take care of your body, habits and stuff, and getting your sleep.
And obviously, Coach Borrego took over early on in the season. What did you learn from him throughout this year that you can apply as you go into this offseason?
Just basically just getting ready for the game. Yeah, I feel like he was a good he brought the juice for us, and yeah, just keep bringing that. Just take that with me.
And then obviously, there's been a lot of talk. You playing 81, Fears playing 82. How much have you seen your chemistry grow with him as this season is going on, and having a full off season with him? Like, how exciting is that for y'all to grow together?
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Both came in together. Both just gonna keep getting better and just be by each other's sides.
When you answered Will's question about your mindset and your body, by your body, do you mean just getting stronger, a little bigger?
I mean, yeah. I'm trying to look like DJ.
And okay. So wait, how much weight do you have to gain? No, I'm kidding. And then what did you mean by mindset? Can you explain that a little more?
Just have that killer mindset all the time. Don't play down to the level of competition. Just be the player I can be all the time.
How valuable was it to you personally having a veteran presence like DeAndre Jordan on the team?
It definitely helped a lot. He taught me, helped me a lot, guided me through my rookie season.
And, what was the challenge like, just having to go up against some of the veteran centers throughout the season when you were kind of thrown in the fire and had to start at that position for most of the year?
Just the physicality, how strong they were.
Is there a moment from your rookie season that you're proudest of, like an accomplishment that you had?
Yeah. Both of my triple doubles yesterday. And what else? I don't know. I think that's it.
DQ, I wanted to ask you, like going off of Seth's question, 81 games, Jeremiah playing 82. Just how much pride do you take in that? I know you said that you were mad that it's kind of like the first game that you've ever kind of missed. Just how much pride do you take in showing up every night?
Yeah. I just don't like missing out on stuff. And this is like my last stint of like playing basketball, so like I'm trying to like take advantage of how many years I play and try to play all 82.
And JB talked about just y'all sticking together, despite the slow start to the season. What was key to kind of making sure that happened and not kind of letting go of the rope throughout the season?
I think we just did it for each other. We just didn't want to let each other down. Just what JB say is drop the sword, but also just go out there and have fun and just try to win, keep trying to win every game.
Derik, you were talking about Borrego. Do you hope that he's obviously the guy leading this team the next couple of years? And if so, why?
I mean, yeah. I feel like he did a good job. We all he all let us hoop on the offensive end. I mean, we had our struggles on the defensive end, but other than that, I feel like he just did a pretty good job with us.
I think 2 years ago you were finishing high school, but do you realize, I guess the responsibility that comes with potentially being the face of a franchise? I know a lot of young players have done that, like Luka and Ant, and I think that's probably been one of the things you're talking about is the mental aspect of it. Is that something you kind of embrace and will work on this offseason?
Yeah, because actually one of my coaches, he had like a edit yesterday. He was like, "Do you want to be a guy or the guy?" And like I said, like before Jose left, we was like meeting in groups, and he was just like, he also said that he was like, cause I like had a few bad games in a row, and he was just like, just pick it up, cause you're gonna be the guy. Everybody believes in me. Everybody in this organization believes in me. So I just had that mindset, just had that killer mindset, just go out there and just be the guy.
the growth you made from year 1 to year 2?
I would say defensively, there's like a progress. The way I'm reading the court is a little better. I kind of know like guys' tendency more, so it helps me be able to help guys on the backside, being the low man, and understand the league a little more, I would say.
And how different was the year 2 where, rookie year, you pretty much started the whole season, and this year the role was kind of different throughout the year? I guess what was that challenge like, just finding ways to impact, be impactful regardless of what your minutes were?
Just get on the court and do little things that can help separate yourself. Defense, play hard, just do stuff. I mean, you're going to make mistakes anyway, so just go out here and just play hard, do little stuff that can help the team, that can impact or like change the momentum. So I think those are some of the things that help.
There was Coach Borrego mentioned this stretch from like January to March where you guys were like 15-10, and obviously playing some good basketball. Does stretches like that, I know this season was disappointing, but does stretches like that encourage you that you have the right guys on this team right now to turn it around?
Yeah, definitely. Stretch like that definitely show that you have the potential to be able to win games. Now it's all about the structure. You have the talent. Now it's all about just putting it together and be able to play out there.
And obviously, you raced Queen up here to the seat. You being a rookie last year and knowing kind of the 82-game grind and like how much you can learn from a rookie season, what did you see from him in his first year, and how impressed were you maybe of his ability to grow even without having a training camp and maybe some other things leading up to the season?
I mean, it's super impressive. I mean, he's been here even during training camp. He wasn't playing or doing anything specific, but you could tell that he was super excited to get on the court. He wanted to come back, and I think one game that really like showed me how good he was against Dallas. I think he got 7 assists in like the first quarter, and I was just very impressed by that. And I don't think I've ever seen someone who could pass the ball like that, especially for big. So, yeah, the future is bright for him.
Before your rookie year, it seemed like just even from summer league until the start of the season, you made a jump in terms of being able to contribute right away as a rookie. It seemed like you made improvements as well this season from year 1. Based on that, what's your focus this summer, your offseason? What do you things you want to work on?
I like 3 main focus this summer: free throws, finishing, and obviously rebounding is a big part of it as well. And get stronger. Just like Dick, you said, you're going to be in the weight room for sure this summer. So.
Very early after JB got hired, he said one of the first things he wanted to do was challenge you and Carlo to kind of do more off the bench. What did you kind of take away from that message, and how did it kind of influence the way you played the rest of the season?
I mean, he just told us what he needed from us right away, what we need to do to be on the court. And those are some things we try to do, try to improve. Obviously, you have DJ, Loon, great rebounders, great vets that taught us the way a little bit. So having these guys around definitely helped us. And, just JB, like he said, being specific about what he needs from the beginning was also super important.
There were times throughout the season, losses piling up, inconsistent minutes, but you never saw the energy or the effort drop. What do you attribute that to?
I would say just have a good mindset. I always say that life is like a stock market. It goes up and down, so regardless how low you get, you always go back up. So just stay consistent, keep working, and then whenever you get an opportunity, just take advantage of it.
And what impact did James Borrego being named the interim head coach have on your career?
It was different. It was a quick switch, so he did a good job. I would say just be able to bring guys in to make us believe that we can still change this thing around. Maybe it's not going to happen right away, but just keep on pushing each and every day, and it'll probably get better. So.
played 82 games, and then you're out here today still on the court. Like, what motivates you to like just keep working like that?
I would definitely say just the love of the game. Fell in love with the game at an early age, and I think I just carried it along with me at every level: middle school, high school, college, and now in the professional. So just being able to continue to carry that each and every day, and just continue to have fun with it.
When you look back over your rookie season, like what did you learn the most about yourself?
I would say just the way the game slowed down for me. I think that was a big thing for me, just continuing to watch film, developing, and just being able to show that I've constantly been improving every game and each and every month. So trying to carry that with me in the summer as well.
Borrego talks about that Milwaukee game. He said that's kind of when the thing kind of flipped for you. Do you remember anything specific about that game, or like what it was about that game?
I think it was the playmaking and just the competitive spirit I brought to the game, that game. And I think, like he said, I think that's when it flipped for me as well. Being able to playmate, put my teammates in the right position, and bring that competitive spirit, and everybody else brought it as well.
And for a lot of rookies, especially guys as young as you are, we talk about February, March, and April as like the toughest months of the schedule, and that's kind of when you played your best basketball.
Yeah.
What was kind of the key to getting to that point and being able to steadily improve rather than kind of hitting that rookie wall?
Being able to recover, focus on your recovery, I think that was huge for me. Taking advantage of the hot and cold tub, the Normatec boots and stuff like that, and just constantly being in the gym. Like I said, it was a goal of mine to improve each and every month. And like you said, that's when you hit the rookie wall because you're not used to playing that many games. So being able to get better each and every month and just carry it with me from the month before and flush the bad, but also learn from it as well.
And where do you feel like you improved the most during the back half of the season?
I would say definitely playmaking. My playmaking, it came a long way, and just being able to read the game, I think it slowed down a lot for me. The month of January, I think it really started to slow down for me, and I just carried it with me.
You had a lot of just crazy stats this season in comparison to like some other younger guys.
Yeah.
Which one like impresses you the most when you hear it and make you say, "Wow, I can't believe I did
The
that"?
most, I would say probably the 1,000 points. I think that was I didn't know that stat until you guys told me. I think that was big time, and it was some special. So just continuing to improve.
Did you see the one last night? Like you're the first teenager to score 35 plus in 3 games in a row. First teenager ever.
For real? I don't be knowing that. When y'all tell me, or if I see it on the internet or something. But that's fire. That's fire.
When Herb came back in late January and they made the decision to bring you off the bench,
Yeah.
What was your mindset at that point to turn that into a positive? And did anybody, coaches, teammates, give you advice on how to take advantage of that opportunity?
For sure. I would definitely say Dejounte, Jordan Poole, DeAndre Jordan, Kevon Looney, Zion. I think they just talked to me about kind of how you look at it, the perspective you look at it in. Like, obviously, I was starring those games before that when Herb was out, and he came back, and they were just talking to me about my perspective. You can either look at it in a positive outlook or in a negative outlook, and I think I looked at it in a positive way as still opportunity to get better and opportunity to learn from those guys and kind of see what I was doing wrong to be put in that position. But just continuing to ask them questions. I was picking their brain. Also, while they was giving me advice on just the outlook and the perspective I look at it in.
To that point, and you kind of mentioned it there, like how valuable were veterans to you this season as far as your development, as far as maybe being able to watch certain things, like even when Jose was here or Dejounte coming back, like how valuable was that for you in ultimately how you were able to develop?
It was very valuable. In college and high school, you don't have that. Y'all all the same age, so y'all in the same thing together, and y'all all learning together throughout the process, and you don't have nobody older to really talk to you about the stuff that you're going through. Y'all all kind of figuring out together, and then the NBA is different. You got some older guys that been through the same situation, that been through everything you've been through, so they can kind of talk to you and help and get their advice on what helped them get through it. And I mean, you can either take it and use it, or it can go in one ear and go out the other. But definitely taking the advice they was giving me and trying to use it myself in certain situations, and just changing the way I was thinking and stuff like that. So
I got two separate questions here.
Okay.
You know, you mentioned that you felt like the game was slowing down a couple of times.
Yeah.
What does that feel like on the court for you?
being able to pick your spots, know where you're trying to get to and when you're trying to get to it, and just reading the game, the defensive schemes, knowing kind of what the opposing team is trying to do and what they're trying to take away, and just being able to adjust on the fly. I think that was big, and I think I did a pretty good job of it. And, I mean, there's always room for improvement, so don't get too complacent with the year I had and the stuff that I did learn, and just continue to improve.
And what was it like going through a midseason coaching change as a rookie that was starting, not starting, and kind of all the adjustments that came with that?
It was definitely different. Like, you're not used to seeing that growing up playing basketball, but being able to adjust on the fly is something that you got to get with. And, I mean, some things out of your control. We can't control who's going to be the coach or who was the coach at the time, but being able to build a relationship with both of the coaches that was here and talk to them, ask them questions, and kind of ask them how they feel about the whole situation and how they feel about us as a team.
You obviously played all 82. Queen played 81. And y'all being the 2 first-round rookies, there was a lot of expectation. How maybe fun has it been to, like, grow with him, and what are the plans maybe for the offseason as far as, like, continuing to develop that chemistry?
Yeah, it's been great. Plans for the offseason, I know we probably will take 2-3 weeks off and then get back to it, and try to get ready for next year, start preparing and start looking. We'll probably go watch some playoff games together. I know we were just talking about it. I want to say 10, 20 minutes ago. So we'll definitely go check out some playoff games and learn from them and try to carry it on the next season so we can be in the same position again next year.
Jeremiah, back here. You're talking about next season. I mean, when you have the year that you had, not just that, but when you end the year the way that you did, we're talking about those 35-point games and whatever, ending it on such a strong note, how much can that give you momentum heading into next season? Because we know obviously the work ethic's there, but now you know, okay, like I was able to really come on strong as the year ended. Does that give you any momentum heading into it?
It definitely does. Ending on a high note and carrying it over to next season. Same mindset, same approach. And obviously I'm going to be bigger, stronger, and I'm going to learn a lot throughout the summer and just continue to improve throughout the summer as well. And next year I'm looking forward to a really big year for not only myself but the team as well.
Obviously, the on-the-court stuff's been the most important, but off the court, your first year in New Orleans, can you reflect on living in the city, the fans, all that?
My first year in New Orleans has been great so far. The fans embraced us from the moment we got drafted to the last game of the season yesterday. They're always in tune, they're always watching, and they constantly show us love, whether we're doing good or bad, and that can go a long way, especially for the players. Like, obviously not being the greatest this season, it could have been some of the fans in the comments and stuff like that, or even online tweeting about how bad we are and stuff like that. But they just continue to show up each and every game and just bring that energy and that positivity was big for not only me but the team as well. And next year we're going to just continue to give them something to kind of brag about and come out and have fun and continue to show love and support to us.
And back to on the court, it's your first year in the NBA. Like, is there a moment you look back at? It's like a happiest, favorite moment of your rookie year?
I would say winning that first game in the NBA. I think that feeling was kind of unmatched, and kind of next year I want to have that feeling a lot more than this year. So just continue to build our team chemistry, and we're definitely going to be a lot more healthier next year. I think that kind of slowed us down this year with some of the injuries and stuff we had, but just continue to try to focus on getting our bodies right and just getting back to where we was, I want to say, in January, February, we went on that little winning streak.
Jeremiah, I wanted to go back to online comments. You know, did you receive any fans kind of like harassing you in DMs about sports gambling and stuff like that? And if you did, how did it compare to the amount of time that you got it in college at Oklahoma?
For sure. It's obviously going to be some fans that take the sports betting and stuff like that really serious, but try not to focus on that, because at the end of the day, if you focus too much on that, it's taking your attention away from getting better and what you and the team need to do as a collective group. So try not to focus on that as much as I can. And, I mean, it gets to a point if somebody constantly spamming you over and over and over, just kind of remove yourself from the situation, block them, or just stop responding. And, I mean, just continue to focus on the things that do matter. I mean, to them that may matter, but to us it's about getting better and continue to get better as a team.
Jeremiah in the back here. Kind of telling back to the last question, I know you said you're not really on top of your stats like that unless you hear it from one of us, but
Yeah.
Did you reach any of your goals? And if so, which ones were you like most proud of?
Definitely making the Rising Stars game. I think that was big. Didn't get the team wins I wanted to get to, didn't get the playoffs and stuff this year. And other than that, I mean, I feel like I did a pretty good job. Obviously, I wanted to get the Rising Stars, wanted to play all 82 games. Wanted to practice in every practice this year as well. So, I mean, I did a pretty good job on that stuff, but I was aiming for about 50, 60 team wins this season and being able to play in the playoffs. But next season, we'll get it for sure.
And with Borrego being in the position for most of your rookie season, what do you admire or appreciate about his coaching style and his leadership?
The way he showed up every day, willing to work and ready to work. And I think that went a long way for us young guys and kind of leading by example, showing us the way. You got to be ready to show up to work each and every day. And something that I can take from him and try to kind of pass it to the guys coming in next year and the year after that, and just lead by example, showing them you got to be ready to work each and every day, and hopefully they learn that from me and carry it throughout their career as well.
And there's a real chance next year you and your brother are going to be playing against each other in the league.
Yeah.
How much have y'all kind of talked about that, and how much are y'all going to be working out together this summer?
We've talked about it a lot. It's been a dream of mine, a dream of his as well, playing against each other or potentially playing together. You never know, but just going out there competing, still having fun, and being able to enjoy the moment. And we're going to work out a lot, but we're not going to work out too much where he can get the scouting report. So it'll be fun for sure, though.
And what kind of role has he played in you getting to this point in your career?
A huge role. He's kind of like my mentor. I talk to him a lot and just learn from him a lot throughout his process as well, ask him questions. And he's the older brother, so whatever he do, you kind of want to be better than him at that. So just being able to compete and also being super supportive of each other's journey each and every day, and just continuing to learn from each other. Our games is pretty different, so I mean, it's something I could take from his game and something he could take from my game, and I think we kind of do that and we talk about it, and that helped both of us.
We've seen a lot of rookies when you go from the 30-ish games in college to 82.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, be kind of like physically, mentally exhausted, maybe both of those. But obviously, it doesn't seem like that was the case for you. When you talk about time off, do you feel like you need a little bit of time off, or you wish that there was like another 20, 30 games of the season that you could play?
Definitely another 20, 30 games that I could play. But I mean, it's something. It don't work like that. But definitely being able to take some time off, your body needs it. Playing 82 games, and it's not easy. It's super physical, super tough, and it's a challenge each and every night you step on that floor. So definitely take some time off and watch some film, watch some of the teams that will be playing in the playoffs coming up, and learn from them, learn from some of those players, and try to add it to my game and talk about it as a team as well, because we know that's our end goal. That's where we're trying to get to.
Hey, going back to Jeremy, like how intense were those one-on-one games in the backyard or wherever y'all played?
It was crazy. It used to be like super physical. I want to say all the way up until it was 13. Once we got to like 13, we couldn't play no more. It was like the games would get too competitive and we'll want to fight each other, stuff like that. So we haven't played in a really long time, but this summer I'm looking forward to playing them again. And I know you're going to definitely be watching this, so if you're hearing this, I'm calling you out.
Jeremiah, DQ said mindset and body, being more physical, were two things specifically he wants to work on in the offseason. When you look back at this year, is there anything specific you're like, hey, I want to improve this on my game?
Definitely my body. Just continue to improve on my body and continue to watch the game, study the game, and study some of these elite point guards in the playoffs. Because, like I said multiple times, that's our end goal, and that's where we want to be each and every season. So just continue to study them, figure out what separates them from me, and just continue to get better with the IQ, with my body, and all the stuff that I feel like I struggle with. Go back and look at the stats and my performances and stuff like that and try to get better at those things.
Did you feel like even within the season you got stronger and you were able to kind of bump defenders off you as the season went along better?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Jordan. Me and him was lifting every day, almost each and every day. So, I mean, he helped me a lot this season, and we was just talking about our summer plans and how we plan on getting better, getting stronger, and improving my body.
Jeremiah, I want to ask you, playing 82 games your first season, there's been a lot of talk around the league about the 65-game rule with postseason awards. How do you feel about that as, kind of in your position?
I mean, I feel like it's a way to keep the guys on the court and make sure they show up each and every night so that they can be eligible for those awards. And I feel like it's a pretty good rule, being able to play 65. Sometimes it's unfortunate because you may have a serious injury that you may have to miss more than a certain amount of games. But, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty good rule and something that kind of helped the overall league with the award ceremony and stuff like that. Thank you, guys.
Looking back over this season, how would you kind of just assess the season that you had?
As a team, I feel like it was, ebbs and flows. Obviously, we did not finish the way we wanted to finish. And, it's tough because we had one of the healthier years, but just overall we didn't get to our main goals, which was playing in the postseason. So just got to take another step.
One of the things that Borrego said was that he feel like this team is close. Do you feel like y'all are close or like almost there?
I think we are. I think there's different factors that we've seen that show that we were close. Just competing with these top teams that are in the playoffs right now, and having leads against teams that are competing for championships and competing in the playoffs. So yeah.
What do you feel like is missing, and like why haven't y'all been able to close out those games? You feel like?
It's hard to say, really. I feel like experience just in those clutch moments definitely helps. Being able to, lean into something and know that it'll work. I think a lot of times, like this year, we were trying to figure out what works for our team, and it's a lot of trial and error.
What do you think was the biggest difference once JB took over and how he was kind of able to establish himself as the head coach?
I just think with any time there's something like that happens in the NBA, there's just like a different energy because it's just a new voice in the room. Not to discredit anything that Willie did, but I just feel like once JB came in, he just tried to, just change things around, put a different type of energy into the building, and hopefully and try to have the guys feed off of that.
And he pointed out that stretch from like January to March when y'all were like 15-10 and y'all really got it going. What do you think y'all were able to really find during that stretch to really become as successful as y'all were?
I think it's just reps with each other. I feel like the beginning parts and the beginning stages of our of the year, we didn't really have a lot of reps together just based off of health, like people in and out of the lineup. And then with the coaching change, we didn't really have a lot of practice time during that time. It was just a lot of shoot-arounds and stuff. And during like the end of December, we were able to get more practice time and be able to figure out what we really want to do. And we had a little bit of structure.
Based on maybe having that chemistry and whatnot and seeing some of the positives, what maybe did you like the most about him in the lead, and do you think that he's done enough to be the head coach? Would you want to see him as the head coach of the Pelicans?
I would say that for JB, he is a very energetic person, and he breathes life into his teams. He tries to be like a really big personality to motivate a team. JB, he's been a great coach for me, and I appreciate everything he has done. At the end of the day, it's not up to me on if he is a coach or not, but I do support JB because he has helped me in my career, especially since I've been here, and he wasn't the head coach until now as he is a head coach. So yeah.
Zion, also you mentioned how healthy you guys were this year. This was one of Zion's healthier years. What did you see from him this year that's encouraging and that he can carry with him going forward?
I just think the availability is the biggest thing, and like I did, we hired PTs and personal PTs. It makes a world of difference when you're able to get around-the-clock care on your body, and I think that showed, in his availability and also just coming back from injury as well.
We talked a lot about it this season, but now that it's over, from a player perspective, can you talk about the fans in New Orleans and the city, the team, all that, the fan base?
Like I've always told people, like New Orleans, like the people here are second to none. Like I truly love these people here. It's a family environment. You see the Southern hospitality, and you just tell that people really care, and they also don't bother you. That's one thing I've really appreciated about New Orleans. Like when I'm out, like people always, they show acknowledgement and then they move on about their day. They don't try to linger on, and it's just not like that. So I really do love the city. Like the city of New Orleans and the people here are second to none. And also this is the organization I've grown up in. So, I feel like it's been nice to, grow up in one place.
You've had multiple years where you've made like tangible progress from season to season. With that said, what's your focus this offseason? What do you want to work on?
It's mainly strength. Strength is a big part for me, and holding my weight throughout the year. I feel like last summer I worked really hard and I got really strong. Beginning of the year I felt pretty strong, but as the season went by and minutes were up, I lost a lot of strength, and I feel like that was a detriment to my game. And so figuring out that piece of it, holding my weight, and then also just mainly working on a lot of just middle area, mid-range, post-up, stuff like that.
Coach Borrego talked about defense being the next step for this team to get more wins. You were one steal away from 100 steals this year. Is defense on your aspect of your game something you want to improve as well?
I mean, yeah, but that's not – I mean, it's something that you can improve, but a lot of us just want to. And I think the biggest part for me is just being able to be in shape so I'm able to, really exert myself defensively and offensively. So, yeah, I think it's really just want to.
And last year, I know a big thing for you was being able to operate as a lead ball handler, pick and roll, stuff like that. Where do you feel like you really made the biggest jump this season with what you're able to do on the court?
I would say just making reads, like passing, like not like my third year, fourth year, last 2 years ago, when I was taking the offensive leap, and I was more of a focal point for defenses. They would send blitzes, and I would just get rushed and wouldn't really know what to do. Like I feel like now I'm starting to read these defenses a lot better and making passes and getting opportunities for myself, for my teammates.
And Trey, you were going back to that 99 steals. I know, you know about the stat about the 200 threes. 100.
Yeah, I know.
How bad did you want to do that? Or was that something you feel like you can get accomplished next season?
I mean, yeah, it's cool, but the stat is gonna still stay there. Like, it's not, nobody's done it. So, I mean, obviously, it would have been cool to do it this year. But if I'm anything, and if I'm able to get any better, I hope I should be able to do it in another year. So.
The rookies' fears obviously ended the season really strong, 35 in the last game, and Queen obviously showed a lot throughout this year too. What maybe impressed you the most about how they were able to grow throughout the season, even as their roles changed from being starters to going to the bench and whatnot?
Yeah, I think especially with Fears, he started off like the third game of the year, and then, kind of went through like a little bit of a stretch where he was probably, going through like a little bit of rookie wall, and then, brought his minutes back to coming off a bench. I mean, it's tough for anybody, even if you are just a rookie. Like, it's tough to start, have that much responsibility, and then be pulled back to the bench, and I feel like he handled it very well. And also with DQ, just fluctuating minutes and just staying the course. He still stuck with his routine, still was working hard and just trying to figure out ways to get better. So, just proud for both of them. And the rookie year they had, it's pretty special what they did.
You talked about the 15 and 10 stretch. You attribute that to better health. When healthy on a regular, how much closer is this team to where you want to be?
You never know at the end of the day. Like, as much as you want to say, like, we're going to be this, that, and the third, like, you still have to put it on paper. You still have to see. There's still work that we have to do in order to really see where we are. So as much as I want to say we're closer to the goal, it's hard to really be like, yes, that's the exact answer.
JV said he was most proud of the culture and the competitiveness that the team kept throughout the season. What do you attribute to that? Like, why did the team never really give up?
I mean, I just think that was just us as a team. Like, we just didn't want to give up. I mean, you never want to go into a game or you never want to be in a game and you're down and you're just like, all right, that's it. Like, game's over. We're always trying to fight, always trying to get stops in order to make runs. The NBA is a game of runs, so you just got to find a way to withstand runs.
Trey, I remember early in the season, one of the first few home post-game press conferences, you made a stance to talk about sports gambling and kind of like those guys harassing you in the DMs. How was it this past season after you made that statement? Did it decrease at all? Was it decrease?
No, absolutely not. They're still in my DMs. They're still in my DMs to this day. And in all honesty, I see them and it really pains me. I can't respond back and troll myself, but I just try to stay out of it because I know they don't want me interacting with fans in that way. But I do feel like if you're gonna say something to somebody, be prepared for them to say something back. A lot of times when we do say something back, they're backpedaling, and because they're like, oh, when you think you're actually gonna see it. But like, if I came to your job and was like, "Oh, you're supposed to have 6 tickets a day and you only did 4," like you suck at your job. Am I gonna do that to you? No. So, not gonna do that. So yeah, y'all should. Y'all can keep doing it. I don't really care. It don't really matter to me. Like I'm not losing any sleep over y'all parlays. So.
Trey, I'm curious, you mentioned post-up as something that you could add to your game. We saw Sadiq do that a lot. It seems like it's something that's kind of being phased out of the NBA, but it's really valuable. Is that something that you think you could add to what you do offensively next season?
I mean, I'm going to have to get a little bit stronger. Sadiq is a very stout individual. So I think that's part of the reason why he posts up so much. But it's definitely something where it can help you settle. It can settle you and also get you easier baskets and not have to do as much. So just adding that to the game to diversify the shot profile.
Thanks, Trey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, y'all went so.
You talked all season about just being able to stay healthy and produce the way you have coming off of the knee injury. Now that you're able to kind of look back, I guess what kind of stands out to you about what you were able to achieve this season?
Yeah, man, it's just filled with gratitude. I know I talked about God and how much of a believer I am. I really just credit it all to him, man. Just spiritually gotten closer to him throughout the season. And at that time, being out for a year and a half, I didn't necessarily know what the light at the end of the tunnel was going to be. And I think I just credit to God getting me out that place and just helping me just through every day and just being with me. And I really believe he's the truth answer in a way. And I just encourage everyone to, in whatever form, whatever way you can, just to try to find him, man, because he's real. So I think for me, just coming into the season, I didn't know what to expect, but I knew if I was just healthy enough to play, I was going to try to play, give it my all. And from the first game to the last game, of the season, I just felt myself just getting better, and just my body, my mind, my spirit, my soul just feeling better, man. So I just credit all to him, man, and it's crazy.
And what do you think it was about this team or this franchise that allowed you to step in and produce the way you did?
Just the character and talent of the guys. Obviously we had a coaching change, early, but I just thankful to Willie and JB finishing out the season, and just the entire organization and the staff and the players and the staff. I think for me, I was just trying to put my head down. I carry a lunch pail every day and just try to work hard and control what I can, control the controllables, and bring what I feel like I could bring to the team. And my teammates did a great job of just embracing me and just allowing me to be me. And I'm just trying to help the team as much as possible.
So, what was it like for you just kind of watching the fan base start to embrace you? You kind of grew on them as the season went on. They're like, oh, okay, this guy's
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. I don't have I didn't have social media my whole during the whole year, so everything that I've gotten seen was genuine interactions with the fans in the city. When I walked on the street or during the games. I embraced them. Like I said before, I wanted them to know I'm a player, hard for them, and for them to to show the support, you know, to me and to the rest of the organization. You know, I just, you know, forever in debt to them. You know, every game, no matter how many was in there, they were loud, and I just love the atmosphere, man. So, I love New Orleans just in general. And the fans did a great job.
Did you exceed your expectations this season? I mean, or is that kind of what you thought you could do?
That's a good question. I don't think it came in with expectation. I think for me, it was just, I just try to control, just playing hard and you know, trying to bring, you know, what I can to the table. And, you know, health was just a, you know, big, you know, obviously part of everything, man. And that's where, you know, this guy just came in and really helped me. But, you know, obviously I wanted more wins and stuff like that, but just be able to finish the season from where I was a year and a half ago, man, I think that in itself was just a blessing.
Obviously, the team didn't reach the goals win-wise that you expected. What do you feel like, as you go into next year, is the thing that this group has to improve the most to go from, okay, chasing a play-in to being a playoff team?
I think we have the talent across the board. We had to just, you know, stay and be connected and know exactly, and just you know, put it all together from the start of the season. And you know, like that stretch we had where we were on winning streaks and stuff like that. You know, I think that's more of us. You know, I think we can start off the season like that next year, and with that momentum, and it's carrying on, be more consistent. I think, you know, there's no way we, you know, can't be a playoff team, you know, next year. So that's what I think. That's what's exciting, and that's what I'm looking forward to this summer. Getting, you know, back in the gym and stuff like that already. You know, it's just, you know, 'cause I know like the sky's the limit with this team. I can see it.
Sadiq, back here, you're obviously we were mentioning the great year you had. You have 1 year left on your contract. You're extension eligible in July. Are you hoping to get an extension done with the team this summer? And would you like to obviously, you know, have a big future in New Orleans?
Oh yeah, I want to be here. That's, you know, my circle, my close circle of family know I want to be here as long as possible. So, you know, a lot of that stuff, you know, is business. But I think for me personally, I want to be here, and I love it here. So it would be a blessing if I could, you know, stay here for as long as possible.
When JB took over, what maybe did you notice was the biggest difference? And then do you feel like he did enough to prove that he should lead this team permanently going forward?
Yeah, man, he you know, he inherited a kind of tumultuous kind of situation, you know, that early in the season. You know, for him to, you know, get the job to lead us, and I think he did a great job. I mean, you know, personally, man, I think, you know, it was a lot of factors and circumstances during that time, and a lot of stuff that was up in the air, man. So I think just to credit to him for, you know, taking, you know, leading the charge, and I think, you know, he's already, you know, been an NBA head coach in the league already, so he's proven himself in that. But I think able to us and be able to, you know, show that we could win consistently, even though it's during like a little bit of stretches. I think he, you know, already proved that he, you know, he could be a head coach and lead this team. So, you know, I think he did a great job.
Sadiq in the back, Trey just talked about the different energy that he had as well, just kind of adding on to that, just the type of energy that JB had with his time, especially on the back half of the season.
Yeah. Oh, no, great. I mean, every single day, man, it was real impressive to watch. Like, I don't know too many people who had that same energy and joy day in and day out, every day. He brought it 24 hours a day. And, you know, coming to the gym, you always heard his voice. You know, he's always just leading us and, you know, staying positive, man. So I think it really helped, and I think that's underrated part of his coaching is his energy and what he brings and the motivation and being able to, you know, game 57 and game 60 still, you know, help you, you know, feel energized and feel excited to run through a brick wall to win. So I think he's done a great job.
There's been a lot of talk about you like exceeding expectations, but whenever we talk to like any of your teammates after a big game, none of them are ever surprised. They talk about your skills and the 50-point game. Like, what does it mean for you to have the respect of your peers like that?
Oh, it means a lot. You know, first because I have that same, you know, notion for them. You know, I think, you know, a lot of the big games the other players had, I also wasn't surprised as well. I think for me, I just wanted to show that, to my teammates that they could trust me consistently. No matter what part in the game, they can, go to me and know that I'm gonna bring something to the table. So I think that was just big for me, just come in and just be consistent, no matter how the game was going, and so that's what I try to focus on.
Hey, so you talk about your lunch pail, like, what's kind of like how did that start, or when did it start?
It kind of started this year. I think I kind of always had a mentality, just man, kind of put your head down, go to work. Man, I always really respect the people just in my life and that I've seen that just go to work every day. I see it, and just no matter how they feeling, no matter what the circumstances going on in the world, they go and do their job and take care of their family. I think for me, I think it's just a reminder of like that's who I am as a person. Just I've always been like just go to work, work hard, be consistent. I think for me, bringing that lunch pail always just reminded me, no matter if we was in LA, in Toronto, if we was in Miami, no matter what areas we was in to go play on the road or whatever, like that. Hey man, this is business, it's a job. Go to work, and every single day it helped just remind myself, man, that who I am. I think I just like representation of me.
Do you actually have lunch in here?
I got a bunch of stuff in there. I got people usually carry like a duffel bag or like a book bag or something like. But when people ask me, it's probably the biggest question I got this whole year was like, what's in my lunch bag? But it's a lot, man. It's a lot of different stuff in there like that. I need it that I use, man. So it's getting put to use for sure.
It could be very easy kind of get stuck in a specific role and then not being able to show up the other parts of your game, like a 3-and-D guy or something like that. I guess. What was key to you being able to show those other parts of your game so you're not kind of stuck as a guy standing in the point?
It was big, man. I credit that to the coaching staff as well, being able to see that. JB and the rest of the coaching staff being able to see the different facets and versatility of my game. But also, like you said, like I work, every summer, every year to continue to work on every aspect of my game, so that whatever the team needs, I can provide. And I'm real confident in whatever role that is, whether it's being closer, consistent playmaker, scorer, whatever. That's why I try to put the work in that I do every year, so that I can show that whatever the team needs, I can provide.
So you played in a playoff series. What's it like these times when you don't play, just having to watch it? Like how tough is that for you?
Oh, extremely tough, man. Like these next couple of weeks gonna be tough because I watch basketball so much that I can't not watch the playoffs. I can't like just turn it off and be like, it's the summertime. I'm going to watch it, and it's gonna be it's gonna hurt watching it because I'm like, man, we should be there. There's no way we shouldn't be like a playoff team. So I think it's bittersweet motivation for next year, but I think man, like, it's definitely going to be tough, man. Like just watching that, but I'm excited to strive to be there next year.
Sadiq, happy belated.
Appreciate it.
What did you learn as a man being 26?
What did I learn? Good question. I learned a lot through these past, few years. I think God really sat me down and really humbled me this past year and a half, and sat me down and really, I had to realize, what are the things that's going to make me really, successful as a man on and off the court. And I think just during that time, I was able to, really, cause you can find yourself. I think when something's taken away from you that you love, it really, has you in a mindset of when things are not really going well. When it's not, going the way you want it. I think at that time I was thinking like, 6 months, 7 months, I'm gonna try to, fight my way and try to be back. I'm just gonna need a summer, but it was more than that. It was, almost 18 months. So I think during that time, it really, made me dig deep and just figure out like who I am, what I need to do. I think that spiritual connection that I really dove deep into was something that really helped me just as a man, and it was gonna help me for the rest of my life.
I want to follow up on that. You played with J.I. for a little bit in Detroit. When you kind of see what happened with him the past couple of weeks, do you kind of empathize with that? Because he came from like similar thing, injury, comes back, very spiritual and outspoken about his faith. Do you kind of empathize with him on that?
Yeah, I do. That's my brother, man. You know, he came in. He was a rookie when I was there in Detroit, and you know, I love him, man. I think could be misunderstood. You know, I think in the situation, but I just think you know he is a big believer in his faith and really just stays strong to what he believes in. And I think you can't fault nobody for that. Everyone has their own beliefs. So, nah, man, I love him and I always be there for him. So I definitely do empathize.
So, Dee, going back to your last point, you talked about, your health, of course, but what did this organization, being a part of this organization, what did it do for your game and your growth?
Man, I think just the situation, that's a great question because I think when I first realized, when I first got traded here, I didn't know what the end result was going to be. You know, I knew that, it was a talented team. I love the city already. Like before, every time I played here, I was like, man, I love being in New Orleans. But it just really, they really embraced me and the organization really did. And I think just being around all the great characters that we've been, from everyone on the staff to the players and the organization, I think just really produced some gratitude for me. I think going into it being just grateful for everything, every day, grateful for everybody. I just think just really helped me just be determined to play my best and that I could be, that I could each and every day. So I think just the organization, the city, the staff, everyone that embraced me, I just wanted to, break and make them proud and show that, I could be, a consistent rock for everyone.
You were asked about the versatility of your game. It seemed like the post-ups was one thing that people really appreciated. It seems like it's kind of fading out of the NBA, that people don't post up that much anymore. Trey had just said that he wants to try to add that to his game. Do you have any advice for him?
Yeah, he just told me that on the way downstairs. I think, yeah, man. I mean, everyone has their own skill set. I think he could do it, man. I think it would be a nice thing to add to his arsenal. He already does a lot of things great. So, however, he wants to do it and work out with his guy, and I think it would be a great piece to add for sure.
Thank you, buddy.
Man, obviously a wild season, coming back with the rehab and then performing the way you did once you came back, I guess, reflecting on what the past year, I guess, has been like, what would you say?
I mean, it was, a challenge, but life's a challenge, individually, collectively, as a organization. There was a lot of ups and downs and, a lot of stuff that, you don't want to look towards, and then a lot of stuff you could be like, okay, there's bright spots there, whatever that looks like. So, at the end of the day, you get through the challenges, you accept the challenges, and, you move on. But you take everything good and bad, and, you try to just continue to grow and figure it out.
And we've heard a couple guys say, once you got back in the lineup, it felt like y'all really figured something out during that stretch. What did you kind of see during that, 3-4 week stretch where you were back in the lineup and mostly everybody was healthy?
I mean, I think it was before I got back in the lineup, just, being able to, join with my teammates in the organization again. Just the competitive part, the, locked in part to film and, just the game planning for whoever we played and, all those sorts of things. And, I had to come back and play 5-on-5. We had a league called Death Row from Loon and DeAndre. So, just me treating that like, it was an actual game. I think it got to show and tell everybody, like, not only I, took care of myself, but I'm here, to, just do my job. And I feel like we all have a job here, whatever that looks like, and we all got to do it to our best ability. So, I was just being myself at the end of the day.
Dejounte, one of the things that JB said was that he felt like this team is almost where it needs to be. Like, how close do you feel like this team is to being, like, in the playoff type team?
I mean, it's going to take a whole, top to bottom. I don't like to get into, what this guy said or that guy said. At the end of the day, it starts from the top all the way down. And, everybody got to be on the same page. Everybody got to understand that, this is a league that won't feel bad for you. You got to bring it, starting, how you carry yourself outside of here to, coming to practice, coming to your individual workouts, the game planning, and just, being serious about winning. You're not going to win 82 games in a row in the NBA, but you can win more than you lose when you're one of those teams that are, checking off every box from top to bottom, and, everybody has the same goal, and there's no ego and all those me things. It's a us thing, a we thing, and, when you can get that down from top to bottom, you have a chance to do something special because you have the talent. You got a lot of stuff to look forward to, but also you got a lot of stuff that, you got to figure out to be able to be one of those teams to, look up from the top to the bottom and like, okay, we're ready to go. So that ain't my job. My job's to, take care of my body, stay healthy, and continue to work on my game.
What do you think about just the job that Borrego did when you took over?
I mean, solid, somebody that's been around the league, the cards that was dealt, I'm a big guy, and the cards you was dealt as individual, and the cards he was dealt, they weren't easy, but he was up for the task, and, I think he did a good job, as far as the timing of everything. It's pretty hard to, not only for the players or the organization, but also for a coach to, be assistant and, a coach get fired and there's like, hey, you got to take over. So, I think he was up for the challenge and, he did as best as he could do, and that's that.
Yeah, last offseason, that was very clear, goal that you had to accomplish. Now that you kind of put that behind you, what do you think this offseason looks like for you now that you're able to go into it healthy?
I mean, this time last year, I wasn't really walking. I couldn't run. I couldn't jog. I couldn't jump. I was in a boot. So to see, where I'm at today, the excitement, I had a lot of guys asking me, as the season was going down, like, man, when you starting? And, we already created my plan. I'm going to continue my rehab, to get it even more stronger. But now I get to, like I said, I get to get back to that routine where I get to work on my body, work on my game, and just be excited to get another additional, 5 months of, just sharpening everything and, keeping my mind clear and being ready to play all 82. That's my goal, be ready to just play all 82, and that's the beauty of it. But I'm just thankful that I'm healthy.
Do you think going through that process kind of is going to change how you work or your approach or mindset of how you work compared to what you've done in the past?
Nah, not at all, because I'm somebody that I love the work, I love the process, I love the downs as much as I love the ups. Everything, it's easy to smile and, do whatever when things are going well, but I'm a guy that, when adversity and some obstacles hit, that what builds character, that what tells you who's who, what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, like I said, I love the adversity, I love the obstacles that's thrown at me. I feel like God put me in this position as an individual for a reason, and, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger, and I live by that, I stand by that. So, like I said, I'm healthy. You look at last year and you look what a year did of just working, putting your head down and working and smiling and, just bettering yourself. And, it's a lot to look forward to.
Dejounte, when you look at this season, the win-loss record in clutch games is the reason maybe this team's not in the postseason. So when you look at teams that do perform in the clutch, what do they do well?
Well, number one, they've been together. A lot of them know their roles. I think that's important in the NBA. You got to know your role. Everybody's not a star. Everybody's not the guy. Everybody can't, take any and every shot. That's number one when you look at great teams. From top to bottom, there's roles set, and all those guys are, excited and willing and ready to be great in that role. And, when it comes down to just watching them play together, where they like each other off the floor, love each other probably. They hang out a lot, so you see that chemistry from outside of that translating to on the court. And then when you just get on the court and you watch these teams, like, they run their stuff. So they, like I said, those guys in the roles, they know where their shots are coming from. They know that I have to do this or do that. This is what I got to do to better this team or help this team be in a situation to win this game. And, they just do it consistent. They do it over and over and over. So, whether you got main guys in or out, there's a system, and all of those guys follow that system, no matter who you are. And I think that's what you see. Like I said, I'm somebody that watch a lot of basketball, whether it's college, the NBA, even WNBA about to start. I just love basketball and seeing the game played the right way, from top to bottom. So, those great teams, to answer your question, though, is they get it, they understand it, and they all have the mindset to win. So if I got to pick up full court all game and be that guy, then that guy's doing that. And like I said, they know what they're running. It's just not, okay, we're going to just ISO and try to win the game. That doesn't happen in the NBA. As you get to those clutch moments, everything matters. So, I think that's it.
When you came back, you said there was value in all the remaining games to treat them like a championship game, build habits, get to know one another. And now you just said everybody from top to bottom has to be on the same page. Did you see that growth in the games after you returned that sets the stage for you accomplishing that?
I think, when I did come back, and this is bigger than Dejounte, man. This ain't just about Dejounte. This is about everybody. But like I said, I think who I am and how I carry myself and, the professional, I stand on being, every single day. And outside of this, I'm a man, I'm a father. And just who I am and, how I take this game serious, I think it just, boosted the group. From all the negative stuff from the media to inside what's going on to, having a coach fired, another coach taking over, and, new front office. It was a lot, And one thing about this game and this league, nothing's easy, nothing's given, and winning's hard. And, it's hard to just start winning. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I think, if you guys could judge from what you've seen, there was a lot of positives to take, after that All-Star break. You look at numbers, you look at the way the game was played. There was a lot of things to, look forward to. And I don't think we were consistent with that. And I don't know how that looked in everybody's mind. I just know in my mind, when I was rehabbing, my mind was to come back and treat every game like a championship game. And, even, coming out saying that I wanted to make the play-in. I feel like you got to be delusional. You got to be crazy, and everybody going to laugh at those certain things, knowing that, I could have been like, nah, I'm not coming back. We're 14th in the West. You know what I'm saying? And, we got up to 11th. Say we would have took it even more serious. That 11th could have been 10, you know what I'm saying? And had a chance to get in the postseason, making a miracle. And, there's a lot to work on, but there's a lot to look forward to. And like I said, at the end of the day, my job is continue to work on my body, be healthy, and then work on my game and just being myself.
To that point, in the 2 years you've been here, you've seen some of the ups and downs for this franchise, and I know there's a lot of questions to be answered this offseason with the head coach and whatnot. Do you see the vision that Joe Dumars has for this team, and do you want to be a part of the future here and the vision of what they see for this team?
Well, me as an individual, I feel like I still haven't I haven't played a season here, so it's still tough, But I think me coming back was, a lot of people say, oh, he came back to, boost his value. And, that's just bullshit. That's shit that I laugh at. but I came back because I do appreciate the people here. New Orleans is a loving place. I'll continue to say that. They just want to win. I remember being away in Seattle when the Saints won. We had some family that moved here, and they would just tell us how crazy and rocking it was, of the fans, of, how happy they were. They're going to support their product as long as it's a good product. And, to answer that is, yeah, Joe trusted me, and we had a plan for, my rehab to be able to make sure I could have a chance to come back and play this year, no matter where we was at. And it was executed. A lot of people, was giving him or, where's Dejounte, what's going on? It was like, I had to get healthy. I can't be a man or father, not healthy. I can't be a basketball player if I'm not healthy. So, Joe know what it takes. His resume speaks for itself as a player, and then as a non-player, like, he's won both ways. And, we only time will tell, and that's his job. And then lastly, like, yes, I'm committed out getting it out with the mud. Like, it's easy to go join a team that won 50, 60 games. But it's hard to be on a team that, won 26 games and they're 14th in the West, no playoffs, and you're like, nah, I trust this process. I trust this process. I do. I could just control myself. I can't control what they do. I would never want to control that. They know what's right, and they know what they got to do. And my job, like I said, is to take care of me. But to answer that, like, yes, I do, because I want to be one of those guys that look and say, damn, last year we won 26 games. And then next year we could look and be like, man, we're in the playoffs. We're one of those teams where teams don't want to come to New Orleans. Like, they know when they come to New Orleans, they got to get their rest. It ain't no, we get to do whatever we want, wake up whenever we want, and just go blow them out. Like, nah, I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to be a part of, New Orleans getting to see, Dejounte healthy for a whole season. And seeing, we got consistency from top to bottom. Like, I think you get those things, and, this place could be something special.
Earlier this season, whenever you still weren't with the team all the time, Jeremiah Fears credited you as probably his biggest mentor on the team. Do you take pride in that, and what did you see out of him?
Yeah, I mean, that's just who I am. I feel like, when you're trying to do this thing together and we represent the same thing across the chest, I can't take off your plate. You can't take off my plate. Now it's a competitive sport, it's a competitive game, and I think that's why I continue to say you take care of your body and you work on your game and let the rest be the rest. But for even the rookies, it was a lot of tough stuff for them. They were inserted as starters, and then they was moved to the bench, and then starting. Like, it was a lot of ups and downs for them. And I think they handled it really well. And, not only myself, you got to give credit to the guys like Kevin Looney, DeAndre Jordan's, he's a beast, just who he is as a man, a mentor, somebody that's been in this league 18 years, and just seeing his energy each and every day for everybody, not just the rookies. He was hands-on with all of us, making sure we was all staying positive, making sure working on our body, our game, and that's all you can ask for, you know what I'm saying? So to answer that, yes, Jeremiah makes it easy also because he loves the game, and you could tell he loves the game. And I love being around people that love the game, don't take it for granted. He's always in here. And it's not that he's in here. You could watch. He's on the table when he's on the table. He's in the weight room when they got him in the weight room. Then you see him over there working on this game. So that's just a young kid that has a bright future. And like I always tell him, your development is crucial. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't fall into the wrong things, and continue to know what it looks like, and you will know what it looks like, with winning habits, great habits, consistency, all those different things look like to, make sure that he be what he's destined to be.
From, the regime change from David Griffin to Joe Dumars, how do you feel about any organizational changes that were different from last year to this year?
I mean, it's hard to judge, man. I don't really know what that really looks like. Like I said, I focus on now, today. You got players that was here that ain't here. You got front office people that was here and they're not here. So you got to really focus on your environment. And also, obviously our environment is, you have Joe Dumars and you got Troy and the rest of, their staff, and they're gonna continue to try to do what they do to, build winning habits and build with, the fans, and not only the fans, but Ms. Benson want, and that's winning, and I'm excited to just see it, We could talk about what we want, what we need, but actions speak louder than words.
DJ, from a historical standpoint in the NBA history, you've probably had one of the best returns from an Achilles ever. You know, Dominique Wilkins, Kevin Durant, and then yourself. When you think about that from an individual standpoint, like, what does it just mean to you?
I don't think it's appropriate for, you know, me to be compared in that, knowing I played 14 games. You know, those dudes, the timing of their coming back was they was able to play, you know, full season. So, you know, those are two guys that, you know, I've spoken to, you know, throughout this process that helped me with this process. And the best thing I got from that was, you know, just being confident. You know, the work is the work. You know, you never change that mindset, continue to be you, but don't allow anybody to tell you what you can and you can't be. And that's what I took the most from that. And that's just who I am already. So, you know, I want everybody to judge me, you know, when I got the 82-game season. You know, 14 games, it was cool. I think it was just to show, you know, everybody that, you know, you could fall and get back up. But also, you know, I had a mindset of, you know, not only I want to show I'm healthy, but I also want to show, you know, New Orleans and the whole organization that, you know, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to, you know, help win. And, you know, like I said, my mindset was to get to the play-in and treat every game like a championship. And, you know, we failed at that. But that's the beauty of it, you know. As long as you keep that mindset and you know, like I continue to say, top and bottom, they build what needs to be built, you know, you have a chance. So I got a lot of work to do as an individual, which I'm not no stranger to. And it's just a bonus for me that I get, you know, 5 months to continue my rehab. And, you know, I'm that guy that want to prove myself right. I don't care about proving anybody in the world wrong. So, you know, even me coming back and able to look, you know, phenomenal, I think that's just not what it is because I only played 14 games. I couldn't play back-to-backs. I was on minute restriction, like, so I can't be judged to none of these guys that, you know, was able to be full strength. You know, I can't wait to be full strength where I could be judged off of like, hey, this is what it looks like. So, you know, that's that.
And I want to ask you on a personal level, of course, you've talked about your love for New Orleans, but on a personal level, what is the possibility of Seattle basketball returning, NBA basketball returning mean to you and the people over there?
I mean, it's important. You know, not only a lot of us represent for Seattle, you got a lot of the basketball world from, you know, all the ex-OGs to, you know, the present guys that's playing, you know, and everybody speak highly of Seattle. They know, you know, it's a great place. You know, again, that's out of, you know, our control of a team being there or not being there. But, you know, Seattle deserves a team. I think every basketball, you know, junkie around the world, you know, understands that and knows that. So, you know, they say it's in play. But, again, actions speak louder than words. So, you know, when we see it, I think it just would be great for us that's from Seattle to, you know, be able to have basketball, you know, at the highest level back in our city.
And Zion is kind of talking about the relationship y'all have built over the past 2 years. What's your assessment of his season and him just being able to stay healthy as much as he did this year?
I mean, that's the goal for him, man. Health is wealth, you know, so number one is being healthy for him. And like I told him, you know, I said, you won't miss the playoffs again, you know, no matter what that looks like. And you got to have that mindset, though. Like, I can't have it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got to have the mindset of, I'm not missing the playoffs. Like, I want to be in the playoffs. And you know, the beauty of it, though, it was a blessing to see him just take care of himself and be able to play as many games he's played. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's our job, you know. So Z, I think he's getting it. And that's the beauty of a journey. You know, everybody's journey is different. And we all got to realize, you know, whether you're media players, you know, strangers in the world, whatever, you got to understand that we're all human. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we're in the NBA. We make money, but we all are human too. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think any guy or any woman wakes up and say, I want to be hurt today. You know, so, you know, it's a blessing to see him healthy and go out and be himself. You know, but like I said, at the end of the day, he got to continue to take care of his body, his mind, and, you know, his development is crucial too. You got to continue to want to be better and have to get better. There's no in between to that. And, you know, that's my guy. I rock with him. And, you know, we had a lot of conversations from life to basketball. And yeah, at the end of the day, man, I want to see everybody win. That's just who I am and how I carry myself. So, you know, I want to see him win at the highest level and the best that he can.
Dejounte, what's the last one? What's it like just watching the playoffs and not being a part of it when you obviously been in it before? Like, how tough is that for you being put?
Me, I hate it. Like, I hate it with a passion. You know, even when yesterday finished, you know, obviously we was done those last couple of games, but even just watching basketball is hard for me. You know, but obviously the playoffs is something that, you know, that you all should want to be a part of, you know, but there's a process to get into the playoffs. You don't just start NBA season and, hey, you're automatically in the playoffs. So it goes to where we said in the beginning of this press, you know, everything got to be everything, top to bottom. And from day one, you know, the chemistry off the floor got to translate to on the floor. And then when you check all these boxes off of great habits, winning habits, it allows you to not be going home today. You know, we'll still be in here having meetings about, you know, who we playing and, you know, those sorts of things. So, you know, me personally, man, I hate it. I'm excited to watch it because I'm always, you know, a student of the game and excited to learn and watch the game and, you know, just look forward to it. But I don't plan on missing the playoffs again. That's just, I will not be a part of that. I will not be part of missing the playoffs again. Whatever that looks like, and I wanted to be here because I played you guys in New Orleans with the Spurs in the play-in, and what I seen from that time, like, the fans showed up and showed out, and that's something I always talked about to the guys, like, that's something I want to be a part of, you know. I want to see this place packed out and all red and us competing against whoever it is to, you know, in the playoffs. So, you know, to answer that, I hate it, and it won't never happen again because that's just something that you got to be passionate and want.
Played 62 games this season. Like, when you look back on this year, what kind of attribute you to that, and just how do you assess your season?
A multitude of things. My trainer, Chris, he helped out a lot with that. Daniel Bove before he took a new job. And then just the Pels medical staff. It was a collective team thing. You know, we kind of figured out a routine that works for me, and it yielded results. I was able to not only be healthy, but feel good, and after games, feeling like I can play another 15 to 20 minutes.
How do you kind of build on that for next year?
Now I try to play 75, you know, to 82. You know, I want to be able to play 82 games in a season one day, so that's definitely a goal.
And obviously there's a lot of talk about your health, but how would you just assess just your play on the court, what you were able to do well, what you want to improve on going into next year?
My play on the court was, it was okay. You know, I was efficient, but, you know, I don't want to sit here and just say it was okay and, you know, we're not even in the play-in and no chance at the playoffs. So individually, I have a lot to go work on. I want to be able to attack from multiple areas on the court. I want to be able to, you know, be unpredictable on the offensive end, and I didn't really do a good job of that this year. So, you know, I already kind of sat with Joe a little bit, and you know, we've and talked about, you know, things to work on, how to attack them and stuff like that, because I want to be able to do more for my team.
And I know you and Joe have talked throughout the year. What do you think about just the vision he's laying out, you know, for what this franchise is going to be and what he's trying to build with this team?
I trust in Joe's vision 100%. 100%.
Coach Borrego talked about the stretch from, let's say, like late January to March, where y'all went 15-10 and were playing good basketball. Do you think that that's truly what this team is, like the potential of this team? And do you feel like you guys are close to being a playoff team in the Western Conference?
Now we during that stretch we did have a great stint of basketball collectively as a team. We are close. If not there, in a sense already. There were a lot of variables with that. Coach kind of taking on a job change early in the year, so it wasn't the most convenient circumstances. So I think once the team kind of adjusted to that, we started to look better as a team.
When Borrego took over, what did you think of the changes that he made? What was the biggest difference? And do you feel like he's done enough to be the permanent head coach for the Pelicans?
I think with the circumstances he was placed in, I think he made the most of his opportunity. Obviously, as a coach, and knowing JB, he holds himself to a high standard. So I know there are things he felt like he could have influenced more, controlled more in certain situations, which we all feel like even in a day-to-day life basis. But I would say he made the most of his situation, and I think he did a good job.
Every time you talk with us, you mention how much you love New Orleans, right, and how much you want to be here. Is that, as you go into the offseason, as you talk to Joe, is that a conversation you have to have about extension or wanting to be here, or do you feel like they clearly understand that you want to be a part of the vision and the future of this franchise?
I would say they kind of understand that this is where I want to be. New Orleans is home for me. I don't say that because I'm sitting in front of these cameras or, I'm talking to y'all. A lot of guys, when the offseason hits, a lot of guys leave the city. I live here. I stay here in the city. I go out. I do different things to try to get to know the city more. This is home for me. I've been here since I was 19 years old. But as far as, I do want to be here long term. As far as extension talks, that's not anything that, can really be brought up at this moment. I think that's more of a, business side of it. If the team wants me here, then, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is home. So as far as I can go on that matter.
You mentioned making your game more unpredictable. What does that look like in terms of the offseason?
Obviously, it's no secret when we play teams. Most teams load up, put multiple guys, kind of covering the paint. I got to be able to attack the game from all three levels. And I'll be the first to say I didn't do that very well this season. So, if I want to take the next step in my game, be who I can be for this team, I got to be able to attack the game from all three levels.
During the last 7 years, obviously, you've seen a lot of changes in personnel in the roster and the staff. Doesn't always lead to more winning. After a season like this, 26 wins, but also some progress in the way you guys played and identity, how do you balance, I guess, the desire for change versus the value of continuity and building?
That's a great question because, honestly, it's one of those decisions that when you do make it, you just got to be all in or one or the other. Because if you want change, you just have to make change all the way through. But if you want, a team bond and things to be to where there is some, familiar sense with teammates, coaches and stuff, you kind of got to keep things similar for 2 to 3 years. But, I think that kind of goes back to an earlier question with, trusting Joe's vision. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won championships. And somebody in my position, all I can do is just take his advice and just kind of, watch how he moves on it.
Zion, winning clutch games probably help this franchise move into the postseason. So when you think of teams that do get it done in the clutch, what are some of the attributes or things that they do well to win clutch games?
They have things that they had things that they lived and died with. I think for us, all year we were, like I said, JB was thrown into a tough situation. I think, but for us all year, we were trying different things. Sometimes, not often, we had success. Other times, we wouldn't. But, it goes beyond just, the clutch part of the game. There were a lot of times where we would be up double digits and, going into the fourth quarter and lose, or even going into halftime and lose the game. So it goes beyond just a clutch thing. It's more of, how can we not just manage the game, but, keep our foot on the throttle.
As you reflect on this past season, just what are you personally most proud of?
What I'm most proud of is, how fast I was able to bounce back from any injuries that I had this year, where in the past it felt like I'd be out and didn't feel like I would be out long periods of time, where this time something that would have kept me out 8 weeks or like 2 or 3 months, I was only out like 13 days and was able to not only return, but return and stay healthy.
DJ talked about just the conversation y'all had about, wanting to go to the playoffs next year, how that's the primary goal. I guess how much is that going to be a motivating factor for you, knowing that you just haven't been able to touch that stage yet?
It's going to be a huge motivating factor for me, because I do want to experience the playoffs. I haven't experienced the playoffs, and it's something that I would love to experience. So, like I said, having somebody like Joe, Hall of Famer, he won the championship, won multiple. I will be kind of taking myself under his wing in a sense, gaining any basketball knowledge I can from him, and just, using my resources to reach out to other Hall of Famers, reach out to other championship players, reach out to greats and see, what their journey was like, because I would like to play in the playoffs. So for me individually, this is going to be a different summer of how I'm going to approach it. And it's already started, with my health. But basketball-wise, I'm looking to take a different approach, because, it's frustrating getting up here every year, not being in the playoffs. And I'll take my responsibility in that. I'll definitely hold myself accountable. But I would like to be in the playoffs, so it's time to just start taking different approaches and, gaining what knowledge I can and just working on different things.
Have you figured out what that approach is going to be this summer? I mean, you talked about trusting Joe and his vision, and so what differently are you going to do? What's kind of your off-season plan?
It's something that I'm going to kind of sit with Joe and talk about, and, how it should look. And also sit with my team and see what that looks like. Because, like I said, it's a different approach. It's something that I haven't done, so I have to, use the resources that I can to reach out and, seek the information and seek the knowledge that I need to start my approach.
Fears mentioned you as like one of the guys that talked to him when he was on the bench, went from starting to going on the bench. To see the way that he closed this season so strong and the game slowed down, and Queen as well, like, can you speak to their growth as rookies and kind of what the future holds for them?
I'll start with DQ. DQ is a very special player. He grew not only as a player, but he grew as a, as a pro, because he had early season success, and you know he was started and he came out the starting lineup. But where a lot of young guys would have taken that the wrong way or taken that not the right way, he responded. He responded. He was a great teammate. And when he would be on the court, he did make the most of his minutes. And, he was very productive. And, I mean, you guys watched, y'all saw how he closed the season. He closed the season very well. And, I'm excited to see his growth, see what he looks like coming into next year because he's a very special player. For Fears, both are competitors, but, Fears was, when he came out the lineup, his was more visible. So I didn't want to overwhelm him with information. So, on a day-to-day basis, I would just kind of say to him, weather the storm. Just weather the storm. And I think at first he was just kind of like, yeah, like, I hear you. But I think, day-to-day, watching him work, watching him, just stay in the gym, stay locked into his craft and, be with the team, he weathered the storm. And who he was at the beginning of the season is not the same person he was at the end. Like, you saw the game slow down for him. Like, he started coming off pick and rolls, making the right passes, shooting the ball with confidence. Defense picked up. Like when I think he didn't just weather the storm. He took the storm over. So both guys are special. So I'm excited to see their growth in this league.
You mentioned trusting Joe Dumars and his vision because of his experience as a player, as an executive in the past. How important is that quality that he played in the league, that he is a Hall of Famer, towards kind of connecting with you, connecting with the rest of the team, and embracing that vision? And do you think that's an important potential quality in a potential head coach?
I'm biased as a hooper. Just like I'm sure anybody in any field they work in would be biased towards someone who actually did it. Because they were in your shoes. They went through 82 games. They went through things from trade talks to lineups to injuries, whatever it is, and they had their journey. So it's easier to ask them questions and go like, man, when you were in this spot, like, what was going through your mind? How did you navigate your storm? So like I said, like, he has the resume. His resume speaks for itself. So somebody in my position, all I can do is just ask questions and just, whatever information he has to give me, just take heed to it. No problem. You guys have a great day.